I think it's important to understand who are we catering to, and we are catering to the relocation specialists because they're the ones that have a day-to-day job to find people like us. So how do we make our lives easier for them? Well, we address their pain points, and I'll give you 5 pain points that they have, and then I'll give you what I actually experienced as me wearing their hat, and I'll tell you why I did that, or why I decided to wear their hat, why I decided to be a relocation specialist for the week, and what I came across. Well, let's talk about their pain points though.
Who's this? Oh, you're an entrepreneur? Oh, you're a real estate investor. Oh, you're trying to learn from those who did it. Well, come into the lab then. Put your white coat on, gloves on, notepad, and let's build, y'all.
Experiment Nation, your host, Ruben Kanya here. I spent an entire week wearing the hat of a relocation specialist, and here is what I discovered. Now, for those of you just tuning in, if you haven't watched my show, we happen to, outside of the show or as a different entity, we are operators. Like, we roll up our sleeves and we do this thing where we own multiple properties that are furnished accommodations, and our avatar is catering to relocation agencies who are working directly on behalf or for the insurance companies who are helping, or yeah, who have policy holders who are displaced due to unforeseen events like storms, like pipes bursting, like fire, like you name it, construction that needs to be redone due to an unforeseen event. And these insured policy holders are filing claims and are being relocated in to operators like us who are able to host them. And with that said, we're able to host them because we're solving a very niche problem, get paid a premium for doing so, because there's, quite frankly, as you'll realize when I wore the hat, not that much inventory or flexibility in our marketplace. And that is why we can charge a premium for doing so, because when a family is displaced and needs a place to stay, there are few and far between options that are available to them. And so, um, what happens is we're 100% occupied. The cool thing is what we've built. I've built a mastermind of other individuals who we teach how to do this to basically 3 to 5x their rental income by being able to land these lucrative insurance contracts, who, by the way, typically extend. My average is 3 extensions, right? Which means that a family is looking to stay for 1 month and they'll extend again and again and again. If it's 2 months, it again. I have an extensions that, when I was looking back, some of our contracts that started back in March, April, May, June, that are still going, which means for us, it increases our occupancy, which has a direct relation to our profitability. And when you think of 100% occupancy at a premium, we're able to make up a large amount of profit. Our margins are huge. As a matter of fact, we just had this week an extension for, I think we might be on at close to 50,000 at this point on just an extension. I mean, let alone one extension was 17,000 on a property that has a $2,000 mortgage. That was just for 45 days. And they continue to extend. We're averaging about a $5,000 a week on that property. So it's just, and that's a single family home, 4 bedroom, 3 bath. Again, overheads, 2,400 a month. It's insane what's out there. But I think it's important to understand who are we catering to, and we are catering to the relocation specialists because they're the ones that have a day-to-day job to find people like us. So how do we make our lives easier for them? Well, we address their pain points, and I'll give you 5 pain points that they have, and then I'll give you what I actually experienced as me wearing their hat, and I'll tell you why I did that. Why I decided to wear their hat, why I decided to be a relocation specialist for the week, and what I came across. Well, let's talk about their pain points though. These relocation specialists are having anywhere from 20 to 40 claims per month that they need to to essentially fulfill. They close at about a 60% clip for everyone that comes to their table, as in they find a solution for it. And this is insider information that I'm getting by speaking to them directly. And they might have like 30 or so relocation specialists. So you do the math on that, right? Like, let's say there's 30 claims um, per month, and there's 37 relocation specialists. That's about 1,100 uh, basically claims that they're dealing with as a company. And that's just one company, right? Like, I mean, that's insane across the board. And again, some of them get more, some of them get less. But that it just tells you how prevalent this is and how much business is behind. So why was I wearing the hat of a relocation specialist? Well, because what happens is when we're 100% occupied and they keep on coming back to us and asking for inventory, we get pretty creative when we start reaching out to other operators on their behalf, because we want to foster the relationship. We want to be a solution to them that they continue to come back to us because it gives us control. It gives us the ability to always have demand on our respective properties, whether we're buying new ones or operating new ones or turning over other ones, and someone's moving out, and we always have someone moved in, locked in, because we're always saying, yes, we can solve your problem. So it's in your best interest for you to do the same. This is why we always say, yes, we're available. Yes, we'll find a solution, because we do, and we get pretty creative. Now, luckily, I built a mastermind where I'm able to even reach out to my mastermind members. Like, does anybody have availability in this place, that place? That's one thing. But another is to actually be a problem solver and reach out in the marketplace on their behalf, because now you become a partner for them. So, whether you're licensed or not, it doesn't matter. You can, like, I'm a licensed realtor, so I have a little bit of a kind of, I can use that card to look on the MLS, etc. But honestly, that's not where it's at. Where it's at is things like Furnish Finder, right? It's reaching out to those Zillow and reaching out to those folks. But here's what happens when I reach out to those folks. I start running into what these relocation specialists are running into. And I smile when I say this, because for me, anytime I see pain points in a business, I see opportunity on the other side. And what's fascinating is that there is tremendous opportunity, because any area where there's pain, there's an opportunity as an entrepreneur. And so I see the pain points, and I see the struggle, and I see where there is a bottleneck. I do see them, and I want to highlight these to you so that you can turn their pain points into opportunities for you to serve in your marketplace. So let's talk about availability for a second. I mean, um, you know, I've spoken to relocation specialists. I've asked them, like, where do you like to go first, right? When you're looking for these properties. And the thing you need to understand is it's a mixed bag. It is truly a mixed bag, because um, while the corporation that they're working for, we give them guidelines and principles, everybody has different strengths and weaknesses and relationships. One more time, relationships. One more time, relationships. And some relationships might serve them better than others. And when that has nothing to do with being preferred vendor or anything like that, because yes, preferred vendors programs that you've seen, companies like ALE Solutions push and etc. But relationships go a long way, because they just see them, they see someone like you as someone in the marketplace that can help them when they're stuck, or just go to them because they know that you're going to have a solution for them. So it beats them going to a database, or it beats them going to a Zillow, it beats them going to an Airbnb, because they know, like, oh, I'm just going to contact Ruben. I'm just and he'll have something for me, because he always has something for me. And because what is my incentive? I am indeed, in fact, driven by being able to relocate families more. These relocation specialists are getting a compensation, or at least an incentive for meeting a certain threshold or quota, right? So that quota is, you get X amount of folks. And once you get X amount of folks, you'll get a bonus for every other. Family that you relocate, call it a dozen, right? Maybe it's a dozen families they relocate that month. After a dozen, they start getting more bonuses. There's an incentive to get these families in quickly, which means there is an incentive for speed. And when we start thinking about pain point number one, it's the lack of availability. And when there's lack of availability, it means that it takes them more time to find things, right? So one thing, speaking to relocation specialists, is they'll go into their database, because they know in their database that people They understand how they work business, which then cuts the time in half of them trying to reach out to new people to explain to them what they do, right? The way I'm doing right now, where you have some context of like, oh, this is how these companies work. They have to do that from scratch. And sometimes, lo and behold, rightfully so, some of these homeowners or even managers, have their guard up where they're like, who is this company? I've never heard of them before. They want to do what now? They're talking about sending checks. They're talking about like, it's just a lot. All right. And so, well, for them to shorten that curve, that time, is they'll go into a database and reach out there because they know that these homeowners who are in their database understand what they do for business and how they need flexible terms, pet friendlies, etc. That's why they're in that database in the first place. Because if you know, it's one of those things, right? So the lack of availability is number one. And if you think about the marketplace, if you think about what's out there, they'll go anywhere. They'll go on Zillow, they're going to Furnish Finder, they're going to Airbnb. But what happens is Airbnb is a platform for short-term rentals, but some of these contracts that they need are longer short-term stays, right? When we define a short-term stay, we are defining it as a 30-day stay or less. That's very typical when we talk about midterm rentals is 30 days or more. Well, they start at 30 days typically, and typically they're undershooting what they actually need. If the insurance company needs 3 months, they might say 1 month. If they need 2 months, they might say again one. If they need 6 months, they might say three. And so it's very typical for them to start with 30 days so that they don't overshoot themselves, because a lot of these contracts that we write with them, they're non-refundable, right? And so for them, as soon as they start looking in the 30-day range, a lot of the inventory goes away, because a lot of the short-term rental operators, even if they're looking on Airbnb being one place, are going to be booked because they're actually decent operators and they have at least weekends where they're booked far out. And so that reduces the availability. Furnish Finder might be same thing. Now, one of the things I want to talk about availability is what we cater is larger families, right? Like that 5-bedroom home sweet spot, or even 4 to 5 bedroom homes. But there's a caveat to that. This week we couldn't even place. I can find anything for a 6-bedroom, which to me is power to you if you get a 6-bedroom home, because I always say you can always fit a smaller family in a larger home, but you can't fit a larger family into a smaller home. So why not go for bigger, right? And that's one of the pain points. It's availability is one thing. Availability of homes that are actually large enough to be able to accommodate a large family are slim to none, right? There's not that much inventory. And that's why how you can actually the opportunity in the marketplace is for you to have a larger home to be able to cater to that, because a family might be willing to actually drive across town just to be able to move into a like kind home that's a 6-bedroom, because the hotel is not going to do it, guys. The hotel is not an option that is conducive for them if they're coming from a larger home. What are you going to take, like 3 different suites, right? Even then, that wouldn't be conducive. It's not a conducive layout for them to live in. So these are the opportunities that are pain points that are opportunities for you. They're pain points, opportunities for you. Always think about that. What is someone's pain point that could be an opportunity for me to solve them, right? So having a larger home is one. Being available is one thing I always talk about. Duplicating your listings. That's the thing that I'm known for doing. And so for that, you want to make sure you're always available, even when you're not available, so you can have the conversation. Because look, at the end of the day, even if they need to move in a month later, which has happened to me, or a week later, their point of view is always going to be, I need to move this family in ASAP, with all relative to the options that are available on the table. If there are no options available on the table, guess what? That family is not going anywhere, right? Or they're going to stay in the hotel until they find an alternative solution. So you have a little bit of leeway. This is why I always tell all folks that either I'm strategizing with, or consulting, or mastermind, or coaching, etc., that it's actually in your best interest to always be available, because then you can have start the conversation and see where that takes you, right?
Experiment Nation, you've heard the word MTR, midterm rentals, as it is currently a hot topic and hot commodity right now, because again, there has been an increase in short-term rental regulations, and there also has been, let's face it, a slowdown in what we were experiencing a couple years back when it comes to bookings. So with that said, short-term rental operators are looking for alternative solutions to tap into the midterm rental space. However, there is a space, there is a sub niche of midterm rental insurance that I'm truly excited about, that I want to share with you, that the experience that we've had, the tremendous results we've been able to have, and that's the insurance midterm rental space, which is very different than your traditional midterm rentals. When you think of traditionally midterm rentals, you think of travel nurses. There is a space, midterm rental insurance space, that we've tapped in, where you need to be well connected with insurance and relocation specialists and companies, and understand the right type of asset required for you to be able to help these families. What's really important, that stands out the most, which you can get in what I'm about to offer you, is the understanding where to be found by these insurance companies, how to properly manage your calendar so that your listings are optimized so that they can find you, how to actually gain traction and build a relationship with these relocation insurance companies. I've put together an MTR insurance blueprint. That's double MT triple R insurance blueprint to cover these foundations after we've had success landing very large contracts on single family homes that literally 4x what we traditionally make in long-term rentals, and also gives us peace of mind because there's less turnover and 100% occupancy, because these contracts can start anywhere from 30 days to 3 months to 8 months and range anywhere from, again, we've landed anywhere from $8,000 to $9,000 a month in per month on a single family home property, which our mortgages are typically around the 2,400 range, which then gives you a large spread of anywhere from 4 to 6K net on just one property. And this is why it's very hot right now. But people who haven't been in the lab with individuals like myself, like Jesse Vasquez and Dr. Rachel Gainsborough and Noble Crawford, don't have the foundations and don't know exactly where to start. And therefore, this is why I'm giving you guys a blueprint, the MTRR insurance blueprint. Go to the website, experimentrealestate.com, and get yourself a blueprint to completely change, or at least have a plan B if you're a short-term rental operator looking to maximize your occupancy and profitability. We'll see you on the other side.
So availability. Response time is another. Some people don't feel they need to respond, or are not going to respond because they're like, oh, I'm unavailable. But responding is key, because the responding is the first R of the second R that you should be optimizing for, and that's the relationship. You respond first to have a relationship. Respond to the date, take the call. Respond to the message, see how flexible they are. They're always going to say, I need a family to move in ASAP. Just because they have someone in there for until another month does not mean it's off the table. I currently have a family that's still inquiring about potentially moving into my property next month. I'm not talking about October, I'm talking about the next month. I'm talking about November, currently in September right now recording this. So you have to keep that in mind, that the response is everything, because it opens up the door for the relationship, and then it opens up the door for a conversation and then a negotiation. And when you have the supply in a marketplace that has high demand, you get to negotiate, and you have the upper hand negotiation. So that's very important. Number 3, it's this is such a shame. As a relocation specialist, like when I was wearing the hat, I'm calling Zillow, I'm calling Furnish Finder, I'm reaching out. I'm seeing some good properties that are good candidates on Zillow. I'm like, ooh, this might be a good one. This might be a good one. And I call, and I get we only do 12-month leases. And I'm like, hold on here. Hold on. This is why I was talking about the paradigm. When you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? And these are operators, or maybe they're companies that have these guidelines, which again, don't even get me started with companies, because I'll get to that in a second. But let's start with the operators. A homeowner, for you, when you have a property that's sitting vacant, your goal, and your only goal, if this is not a hobby, if you're in the business and making money, is to make sure that property is making you profit. It has nothing to do with whether it's a 12-month lease or not. That's why I swear by the hybrid rule. It's not like I'm MTR only and I won't do SDRs. No, I get families in by any means necessary to be the most profitable. Now, I understand that might not be everyone's agenda, but if your agenda is that, hey, I have rentals and I need to make money on them, this is how it works. And it's when you are saying that I do not do anything less than 12-month leases, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because some of these companies not only will expand and receive extensions all the way even 9 months out, but you're getting paid 3 to 5x what you would typically make on a long-term rental, which means that you've literally, like, across the board annually 5x what you would make on even a 3-month or even a 6-month. I've seen some guys ridiculous numbers, right? We have ridiculous number. We made 17,000 on in 45 days on a property that has an overhead of $2,000, right? Because it's furnished accommodation. We're open to doing short-term rentals. And by the way, they keep on extending, right? So it's just a mindset thing, so that I want you to understand that that's a pain point in the marketplace, where there's good properties that are available, whether it's furnished or unfurnished, in the right zip code, in the right place to serve the family. And unfortunately, there are operators, and hopefully this is not you if you're watching this, that says, that are saying we only do 12-month leases, because they have a paradigm that this is how they're going to run their business, and they haven't opened up their mind to other opportunities that can better serve them and accommodate a family, to then also make themselves highly profitable. So do not be that person. Same thing when it comes to being pet friendliness. It's a limiting belief that pets are going to destroy your property. Some pets will, and there's security deposits and measures for that. But if not, you're getting paid a premium for being able to house pets. And especially when there's a clause in there to protect you. And there's a lot of tools you can use for like damage, insurance and all that stuff. There's so many programs in the short-term rental world that you can actually leverage, whether it's what is it, Property Hog, or I'm gonna butcher the name, of course, but Groundhog, or something like that. I'll come up with the name shortly. But there's many tools that you can use. A Super Hog is what it's called. Damage protection. Super Hog is one that you can utilize, that will give you the opportunity to protect your asset, etc. So it's just a limiting belief, and again, it's an old mindset, or maybe it's just a preference. And if it is a preference, power too. But if you are trying to maximize with your asset, how much money it's going to make, etc., it's in your best interest for you to have a pet-friendly furnished accommodation, less than 12-month leases, respond on time, be available, etc., right? And then the one that kills me is these corporations that are managing, and they're managing in the best interest of their their client, and they say we don't do corp to corp leases. I'm like, I don't get that one. I really don't understand that one. I don't know if there's something with some kind of legal concerns, and they don't want to deal with the corporation, because I just don't understand it. You are sitting vacant, you're available, we're having a conversation that you're sitting vacant, and I have a corporation contract, right, from an insurance company, or I'm going to be the corporation that's going to do a master lease, right? I'm going to lease. I'm a legit business. You can look us up, right? We are a legit business, and you won't do corp to corp. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's what they have to deal with when they're reaching out to some of these management companies that might have inventory that is exactly what would meet the need. These relocation specialists are going to find rejections there as well, because if they come and try to do a corp to corp with their corporation to their corporation of the management company, their management company says, we don't do corp to corp. Here's an application for the tenant themselves, which the tenant who's displaced temporarily is not going to be sending out multiple applications, getting credit pulls, all that, to live in a temporary home for less than 12 months. So we're jammed, right? We can't do 12-month. We're not going to do application. The corporation would pay you a premium, and you're still saying no. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, where our opportunity is as operators in the marketplace. I'll also say another thing, right? Following up is key. And just because you follow up and you don't get a response, it's okay, because I wore the relocation specialist hat this week, and if I were to respond back to 15 inquiries that I did, and then the one worked, and then I would need to respond to the 14 others and say, hey, just want to let you know that we decided to go with another option, that would be a full-time job in itself. However, I will say this: if I put in inquiries for 3, and I get a response maybe from I put in 15, I get a response from 3, and then that third one responds again, is like, hey, by the way, when's the fall, when did you want to schedule a walkthrough? I'm gonna go with the person that responded to me, because they just alleviated one step again, and they've given me times already for a potential walkthrough. Maybe they asked me when, and here are some times that are available. My goal is to relocate families in volume. Therefore, if you make my life easier by following up again, give me tentative times that are available, floating it at the top of my inbox, it actually reminds me, oh yeah, that's right, I actually had a potential relocation, a potential homeowner I had reached out to that did the same thing. They followed up. They're like, by the way, were you still interested in having a view? I'm like, I had so much going on. I'm like, yeah, actually, I am. Thank you for following up. Let's schedule something for this week. So you following up is an opportunity. You communicating is an opportunity. You responding is an opportunity. Do not be discouraged if you don't hear back, because it is a full-time job to even let the people know, and there's zero advantage for me to let you know that your property was not chosen. And yes, in an ideal situation we close the loop, but that is actually a second job. Closing the loop is a second job with zero benefits and doesn't add any value. It doesn't add them reaching their bonus as a relocation specialist. And this is why you can understand that it literally does not make any sense for them from a time perspective to reach out back to the people that they reached out to and letting them know that that their property was not chosen. It just we don't have the time. We're trying to place families here. We're trying to say, so wearing that hat allowed me to see the pain points that they're facing on a day-to-day basis, um, the platform limitations, the flexibility limitations, the me sending in properties, trying to get them approved. Hey, I found this other property because this one won't work because they said it was available and now it's not available. Now I found an alternative. Can actually send that back and see if the adjuster actually approves this one. Like, hey, by the way, just reminding the relocation specialist, hey, did this get approved? You know, there's a constant kind of tug of war between trying to work with homeowners and the policy holder, which I was actually educated that there's certain companies that will require you to have a touch point with the family that you're trying to relocate for the next for every 3 days, or every day. I think it's every 3 days or something like that, where they have to have a touch point that shows them that you're actually really working towards helping them. And then you owe them like anywhere from like 5 options to present to them in volume. If they reject all 5, there's a good chance that the company issues them, the insurance company issues them a check for them to find their own. So there's a lot of numbers driven, right? There's metrics driven. There's, present 5 options to a family, be in touch with them every single or every other day. To let them know you're working on these options. Which I remember a family reached, that I'm currently, like, the other day, texting me last night, be like, by the way, did you find me an option for this? Like, it's a lot. So remember, this is a high, fast-paced environment that requires a lot of communication, a lot of volume, and your job is to make it easier for them. You want to be number 1 available. You want to number 2 respond on time. You want number 3 make sure you're not falling into that pattern of like, we only do 12-month leases. You need to do short term. You need to be flexible. You need to give them different options and terms for shorter versus longer stays, right? You want to be number 4 pet friendly, and number 5, you want to make sure that you're also not price gouging, and because I'm going to keep track of that, right? Like, I'm just going to know, oh, you heard insurance, now your prices are different, and that's just not going to ring well. There's a certain way to do it, and we teach that in our mastermind, where there's a certain way that you can position your prices on all your listings so that you're catering to a premium price versus a long-term price, and still being able to meet the best of both worlds, where you're still very profitable. You want to make sure, if you're a corporation, you're corp to corp friendly. Unfortunately, not a lot of corporations listen to podcasts or shows like these, right? And they don't really know the opportunity that exists on the other side, or maybe there's a specific reason that I don't know of yet that I will find out at some point. But there is a limitation there. But I'm telling you, all these opportunities, all these pain points can be your advantages in a marketplace. And having the right type of asset, having a larger home, having a 6-bedroom home is a new norm threshold for me, because I know that I can solve a big problem. I can have a small family and a large family, but I can't have a large family and a small home. I know I'm going to go always bigger and better. I'm going to follow the buy box that is best for me. I'm going to live in the databases. I'm going to find them. I'm going to follow up when I need to. I'm going to stay in front of the relocation specialist. I'm going to be of service to them. I'm going to help them and wear the relocation specialist hat when I need to be an extension to them, to help them so that they can continue to come back to me. So that when they come back to me, I can continuously have relationships that I can count on. So anytime I make a purchase or get a new property or have a tenant moving out, I always have one moving back in. So I'm always fully occupied, just so that you can be fully occupied and fully profitable. So that's what we're doing. Those are the opportunities that exist in the marketplace. And that is what I learned when I wore the hat of a relocation specialist for an entire week. These are the things that I found that can be opportunities to serve you in the marketplace. Now, speaking of serving you in the marketplace, regardless where you are, if you are in need of help, if you need a guide to help you, proposals, contracts, where to list, how to optimize your properties, right? What to be saying, how to market to them, how to build a brand around this space, around this niche that is very prevalent, how to get continuously back to back to back bookings that are making 3 to 5x what you would traditionally make in your marketplace. I have a mastermind which you can join and see, or apply to join, see if you're eligible by going to experimentrealestate.com/submit. It's an amazing group. The community of what's working and what's not is day to day. And obviously you get to get my guidance as well of what's working and what's not, because we're boots on the ground. We're in a relocation specialist house. We're moving families in. We're getting lucrative contracts, and we're doing it with a purpose. And we have a nice community where we're able to lean on each other to help each other. And I would love to continue to serve and have you be part of the community. Should it be a good fit for you, and should it be what you want to do as well? If you don't, want to be a traditional long-term rental operator who has 12 months and not pet friendly, and it's not for everybody, but there is an opportunity to serve, and we need more people to be in service to all collectively win. So with that said, make sure you check out experimentrealestate.com/submit. I'm also doing master classes periodically and making special offers, a special kind of intro to my mastermind for 4 weeks. You're going to have to be on the masterclass and webinars to get an offer to that. Or if you're interested, just email Ruben@experimentrealestate.com, interested in mastermind intro program that I have going on. With that said, Experimentation, just like that, another one in the books. Again, a pleasure. Remember, you're only one experiment away. Experimentation, I believe there are 2 critical components that will help you achieve your goals very quickly and succeed. Number 1, it's information like this that you received on a show, in an episode, and content that you can find on my YouTube channel or anybody's channel. And then there's a community. And the way we've been able to expedite our process, the way people in our community, people that we consult, mastermind members, whoever, they get the information on an episode like this, but then they also have a support, whether it's me guiding them or being guided through a community. There is an opportunity for you listening to be able to expedite your process, or even expedite your results that you're seeking by being part of the community. If that is what you're interested in, we at Experiment Nation happen to have a community devoted to helping maximize your occupancy and your profitability altogether, regardless of which market that you are in. And for that reason, you have an opportunity where you can go to experimentrealestate.com/submit if you're looking to work in an environment that can help you prosper faster. Call out any areas that you might not be familiar in, especially the blind spots. That's where a guide comes in hand, and I would be a pleasure and honor to be your guide. But in order to make sure you're a good fit, make sure you go to experimentrealestate.com/submit so that my team can go ahead and take it and see if you're a good fit to join the mastermind and the multiple programs that we have. In addition to that, I'm also now a YouTube partner, which means that I want to give you more access to information, more access to Q&As, more access to the questions that actually come out of our mastermind to help people expedite the process. We've seen people get anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000 to $6,000 to even $7,000 a month net on just one door by applying the strategies that we use by working with corporations and furnished accommodation in a very strategic way. So if you're interested, make sure you also subscribe, because I'm going to have different tiers that's on YouTube now that we've become YouTube partner, to continue to be the bridge to your success in your lab. And your lab means your life, your goals, or wherever you're trying to head. So make sure you also hit the subscribe button on my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/real estate experiment. We'll be there. You can also look us up at Midterm Rental Insurance Experiment. We will be there. Make sure you hit the subscribe, because that's when you'll know the tiers that are available to you that make sense for you, your marketplace, for your results. Remember, you're only one experiment away. Let's build.